let's go over catch basins, all the things that I think are important. I just want to point these things out to you and go over them. This right here is a 4-inch catch basin. You see 4-inch in, 4-inch out. This is 3-inch, 3-inch in, 3-inch out. This catch basin has this universal adapter, 3 or 4-inch. 3-inch goes in here, 4-inch goes in here. The problem I see with this is it restricts 4-inch pipe. You're necking down 3-inch pipe. You see the 3-inch? Now, if it's a 3-inch system through and through, that's fine. If it's a 4-inch system through and through, I don't want to compromise my system. I might be at my 4-inch pipe's limit already for volume. So I don't care for that. And then guys are putting silicone on these and letting it dry, hoping to get a good hold. That doesn't work that well, in my opinion. These are all things that I learned as a contractor of 38 years now. I also hated these big 12x12s because earthworms would always end up falling in these things. I hated it because if you had to stick your hand in this, there's nothing worse than the smell of rotten earthworms. I can't emphasize that enough, how nasty that is. So that's why I like a turf restrictor. Now, if you have a 3-inch pipe, why would you need a 12x12? Just do a 4-inch grate. You're not going to overwhelm a 3-inch pipe. Have a turf restrictor for the rest of that area so the worms don't fall in. Again, this used to drive me crazy. I hated doing a big bucket hole like this. Now, if I had a machine that was digging a trench of some kind, I had a nice trench. You know, that's why we went ahead and designed these catch basins that have these single and double. This one here is our 4-way. Love this. This is our torrential rain 4-way connect catch basin. We just absolutely love it. You just slip on whatever coupler it is you need, whether it's 3-inch or 4-inch. If you need a 4-inch cap or a 4-inch grate, if you need a 6-inch grate or a 6-inch cap, no problem. Do the math. Do the math. 6-inch inlet for 2 4-inch pipes. Why do you need 12x12? I don't get it. Not in a lawn. If you're going to pave this in the middle of a parking lot, okay. If you're going to put 6-inch pipe on it, okay. I don't get it. None of it adds up. None of it ever made sense to me. It just made work for me. Pickaxing that in, this big bucket, and then it doesn't have the sump capacity. Now this right here has 2 1/4 gallons a sump. It's only 5 inches wide, and it fits in a trench made by a trencher. You can go to the rental store, trench in your line, and all this stuff just drops right in. Another thing that drove me nuts as a drainage contractor was these screws. When you go to service these, you're going to lose these screws. I don't mind having to take a screwdriver out to service my catch basins, but I hate these little screws. You're going to lose them. Guaranteed, you're going to lose them. I know this. It's a fact. Any contractor can tell you that. So that's why we designed all of ours to where they just press right on. They seat right in. You can pop them right off, clean your catch basin, then just go ahead and press this in. Everything's a pressed fit. And yeah, you might need a screwdriver to come in here on our turf restrictor plate and pop it out. No big deal. No screws to get lost in the lawn. And oh yeah, don't worry about all those earthworms that are going to just stink up your yard. You're going to have this giant mosquito hatchery full of earthworms putting off this pungent odor. And yeah, you're going to have to stick your shop vacuum in there or your hand and clean that out. Or you can go with a turf restrictor plate. You don't end up with all the earthworms, so you don't have that pungent odor, that terrible smell. You don't have this giant area that's just full of liabilities. Now you just have a really nice part, really clean part to prevent the grass from growing over your grate or your solid cover so that you have a way to access and maintain your catch basin. Really quick, we built this low profile sediment trap that holds 1 gallon of sediment So you didn't have to put in these big bucket catch basins unless you needed one. Having said that, sometimes you need one. So I want to go over that really quick. So if you're running a situation where you want to come in the bottom and leave out the top so you catch more sediment, I'll explain that in a second, you have to have a taller catch basin for that. This basin allows you to cut out in these scribed areas with a knife. If you're a DIYer and you're not used to a box knife, take your time, be careful. Contractors have calloused hands, they're used to doing this. So there's these gaskets, and you basically cut out the size pipe that you're going to be using. You thread one of these nuts on. Trust me when I tell you, this is not that strong. It's kind of frustrating to use, I know that. But this was the best thing that the industry had to offer for quite some time. My other complaint is there's no sump when you do this. If we go in here and we're going to come out here, and I'll show you what I mean in a second, it doesn't leave me much room for sump. There's not any sump to speak of. I'm going to plug the pipe with sediment. The basin's not going to do what it's supposed to do. Yeah, you could use it as an inlet basin and not a solid cover, not just a, distribution box, but as an inlet for yard drain. But you want to collect the sediment, and this doesn't have much of a sump. Where this here has 1 gallon, but it's a single pipe system, which leads us to this unit right here. So this unit right here, anything that you're connecting to, you slip it on, 2 pins, done. No box knife needed. No glue, just slip it on, click, click, done. Super easy. You can do just solid if this is just going to be just to collect sediment in a line. This is going to be an intersection where you're grabbing up more line. Right here, this is capped off here, and this is capped off here. I put some arrows on here to make this easy. So when you come in the bottom and then you ask the water to come up and out, you collect far more sediment. So if you're taking a line to a leach field or a dry well, and you don't want it to collect a bunch of grit from the rooftop, any kind of pollution, this is how you want to do it. You want to come in low, let the water rise to exit, and you're going to collect. When the water goes to rise, it drops all the sediment, leaves it behind. This is dynamite. This is really nice. And instead of running a 6-inch line, which is really invasive, if you're in suburban lots, suburban and urban settings, 6-inch is not a reality. 6-inch is for farms, it's for road construction. And then, yeah, in certain rural communities, if you have a lot of acreage, you want to run 6-inch, great. If you got sprinkler systems and landscape, it's very invasive. And if you want to use a trencher, 4-inch lines with a standard 6-inch trench. This is only 5 inches wide, and you still get your 1 gallon. Where here, you don't get that. You don't have anything to speak of for sump. That was my biggest complaint. So if you don't want to dig deep and you want a shallow basin, there you go. If you're trenching and you have multiple lines, here you go. If you're looking for a way to really filter out contamination because you have a cistern and you're using the water, you're off grid, this is an ideal setup right here. And this is our super sump setup right here. Cap this off, 2 1/4 gallons of sediment right here. So we have 6-inch, black, green, solid green, solid black, and 6-inch. Of course, you can expect a turf restrictor with this as well. These are just some of the things that we've been up to, and these are just some of the things that are going to be new releases here this month. We're always trying to find a way to make your job easier. We want solutions for yard drainage that are easy for the DIY. You come armed with a shovel and some ambition, and we'll give you the YouTube videos, the how-tos, and we'll get you there. All right, everybody. If you're liking the products that we're making here in the USA, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. If you have any questions or you have some products you'd like us to make, leave that in the comments section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.